Less than 2 years after South Dakotans rejected a ballot measure to allow marijuana possession and home grows, advocates have launched a voter initiative to legalize adult use market. The ballot measure, submitted by cannabis consultant and Rapid City resident Emmett Resteroffer, needs 17,509 valid petition signatures to qualify the 2024 election, according to Business of Cannabis. If approved for the ballot and subsequently passed by voters, the proposal would authorize the South Dakota Department of Health to issue dual-use licenses for the state's medical marijuana dispensaries to sell adult-use cannabis products, the news outlet reported. In an April poll indicated voters are split on the issue of adult-use cannabis, and South Dakota voters in 2020 approved an adult use market, but that action was eventually overturned through the efforts of anti-marijuana Governor Kristi Noem. In that same election, South Dakota voters approved a medical marijuana market, and MMJ sales in that state launched back in July of 2022. Well, South Dakota, it sounds like you're going to have one more crack at the apple to get this done. And time will tell and see what you guys decide. What do you guys think about this?
Free the weed.
Crickets? Just good weed, huh?
Free the weed. Free the weed.
Free the weed.
South Dakota, you can do it.
You think so? I mean, they did it before. And then they had a prohibitionist Governor, Kristi Noem, that tried to basically just recall it and recall the vote.
I mean, South Dakota ever wanted to be cool for once?
Is cannabis a default for making you cool?
No, not necessarily. But I see adult use cannabis through the lens of societal change, going back to women's right to vote. Right, like there have been these places in society where we're like, oop, got that wrong. Oop, got that wrong. Oop, got that wrong. Like women's right to vote, civil rights. Same-sex marriages. You want to love whoever you want to love, great. Have a marriage. Who cares? It's between you two. And so I think that like this notion of adult use in all states, it's just a matter of time. Like, okay, great. It didn't pass the first time. It might not pass this time. It will eventually pass. And when it does, 50, 25 years from now, everybody's going to look back and go, remember that time when you weren't even allowed to grow your own plant and smoke a joint on your back deck? God, how funny were we as a society? I mean, if you think back around human nature, there was a time when we did human sacrifices. Now that seems a little weird for religious practices. And so I think that we will eventually see adult use in the entire globe and in every state. And it's just a matter of how quickly can we get there.
Interesting. Any thoughts on this, Matthew, before we wrap up?
What I find is when people with a reactionary view on cannabis have a relative or good friend that is positively impacted, then their active. Folks who are more left-leaning and compassionate seem to be able to kind of scaffold empathy off of their thoughts, whereas the more reactionary conservative folks really need to see it happening and occurring in front of them to believe it. You know, those are just two different ways of apprehending the world. But yeah, cannabis is the healing of the nations, like the Ross has always said. It's incredibly beneficial. It's non-toxic. It's not harmful. And the more that we see it in use by people with a low amount of abuse and a high amount of healing and help, more and more people are going to support. And I think we've been seeing that. Just everything seems to happen at a glacial scale, so we just have to keep the faith, keep the vision, keep our optimism, and keep working every day for what we want to see in the world.
That part. I agree with you on that part, Matthew. We got to keep on working every single day if we want to have the real visions that we want to have manifested in the world manifest themselves. That is very, very
Or
true.
you just take DMT and then you have as many visions as you want.
Or you just make soap, right? At home.
So
Can't stop, won't stop.
DMT, LSD, and the other psychedelics are like a roadmap. They're like a Google Maps. They will show you where you need to go. However, just like Google Maps, they don't take you anywhere. You have to get in the car or get your feet walking, and you have to do the work every day to arrive where you want to be.
That part.
Don't ever let the thought that the drug is going to do it for you. You are the healing force in your life.
You are.
That's a mic drop moment.
Yes.
End on that.
Yeah, we are going to end on that. You are